Second one, Jones, intercepted. Joseph, what a pick.
As bad as the defense was, the offense was just as yesterday, accumulating all of 170 yards and a couple field goals in their efforts against the Detroit Lions.
He threw that ball so late. The Lions, meanwhile, had no problems moving the football. Jared Goff looked like Joe Montana on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 64 yards. They averaged 8.5 yards per play. That's almost a first down for every play they were in the football game. Oh, hang on tight, everybody. We got a good one tonight on Jags Report Live.
This is Action Sports Jags Report Live from Strings Sports Brewery. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Time to just hit the reset button and just sort of rewind, you know, kind of get like I said, get fresh again, coaches and players.
Hey, that's Doug Pederson today, who talked to the media. It's still the football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which really is the lead story. So many people calling for change, wanting change, anticipating change. That is not happening as of 7 o'clock tonight as we say hello from Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield. Everybody in mourning here in Jacksonville because that was as bad as it gets. Rock bottom, we hope. Brent, Martineau, Dan Hicken, and if we still have jobs at the end of this show, I'll feel fortunate being next to Hicken here tonight on Fox 30.
Well, we're watching the most disappointing season in Jags history when you couple what the expectations were, right? That's fair to say, and how the Jacksonville Jaguars have played this year. They're 2-9. They're the worst team in the NFL. They have the number one pick in the draft, and we're all somewhat stunned that Doug Pederson, quite frankly, is still the head coach. Now, look, it's Shad Khan's team. He can do what he wants. Maybe he wants to wait. Maybe he wants to wait till Black Monday, the last day after the regular season. That remains to be seen, but honestly, while we were doing radio this morning, I was waiting. I was refreshing, waiting to hear that Doug Pederson was no longer the coach. He still is. This is the bye week. It's the perfect time for it. But, again, Shad Khan has to make that decision. And I do believe, in the end, there's going to be a house cleaning at the top.
Yeah, we'll see. Shad is a patient owner. He doesn't like to make moves in the middle of the season, and this is echoing that right now by not making a move. It was embarrassing. You could certainly appease the fan base by making a move in the front office or by the head coach, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen this week, which means the next time would probably be at the end of the season.
It's not something that I tend to worry about. Those decisions I have no part of. I'll let powers that be decide who is and who isn't here, and that goes for players too. And not to say that that means anything. I'm just saying that that's not on my mind.
For us players, we just try to do our job, do what we told, and try to tune everything out outside of what we do and playing football. So try not to think of that. We try to just come here every day, same mindset, and whatever happens, happens.
I try not to even look at that stuff like that. I try to just keep my head down, stay focused on the task at hand, and just keep pushing.
I have no emotion from the players, Brent. I have a hard problem with that. The offense is horrible and the defense is worse, right? And so they're bad in every which way, and they're getting blown out. They had a big game against the Detroit Lions, and they played the Buffalo Bills the third week of the season. They've given up 99 points in those two games. They can't score. The offense. Now, look, not having Trevor Lawrence doesn't help, but my goodness gracious, they had Trevor for Philadelphia. They had about 230 yards of offense.
This is a 17-game sample.
Yeah.
This isn't just yesterday and a couple of games. This is 3-14. Yeah. This is a deep decline from the first 20 games or so plus of the Doug Pederson era here in Jacksonville, which he had done such a fantastic job and pushed all the right buttons. But right now he can't push a button that's working. By the way, if he's not going to lose his job, he has the right to also fire somebody on his staff, and it doesn't look like he's going to do that. He's going to stay very loyal to his staff. I mean, this might be the only football team in the National Football League that after yesterday's performance, the expectations, 2-9 record, 3-14, last year's collapse, would not make a change at the bye week of some kind. And it looks like the Jags are just going to run right back out there next week and play the Houston Texans in December. And quite frankly, that stadium might look like a little bit like this tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible situation. And listen, you could go back to the beginning of the season. Shad Khan met with the media. He told us a couple things. He said, hey, this is the best team we've ever had. He said it. We didn't say it. He also said, I have my own opinion about who I want to call the plays. Well, we all know he wanted Doug Pederson to call the plays. Doug Pederson has yet to choose to call the plays, we don't think. So, I mean, it's just been a train wreck season.
And, Dan, I think it's deeper than that. I think why has this gone wrong? I mean, this is a group right now, I think, with Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson that doesn't have a great understanding of even this fan base, the relationships in and outside the building. There's more to it. There's a deeper dive that needs to be done. If you're just asking for a new head coach and a new GM just to change things, I don't think that's enough.
No.
In fact, I wrote an article about it today. It's on actionnewsjax.com. I think it needs to be a deeper dive. I think the Jaguars need to be like the Detroit Lions, but it's not necessarily Dan Campbell. You can get there, but it started with a guy like Chris Spielman who loves that organization, right?
Yeah.
And wants to look out for that organization. I think the Jags need somebody like that looking out for Shad Khan and his best interests. And the other thing they found is an identity because of hiring Dan Campbell. This team, if I ask you who are the Jacksonville Jaguars, we have no idea here in Jacksonville. So my answer in that article was an obvious choice. That's much like Chris Spielman. I know you talk to him all the time on the radio. I know a lot of people in town are saying it. Can you get somebody like Tony Baselli involved in the organization to, again, look out for the fans, look out for the organization, do what's in the best interest? You know how this business works, Dan. It's toxic. People try to save their jobs at this point. Do you think there's finger pointing right now inside those offices?
Of course there is.
I bet you, because everybody wants to blame the other person. Could Baselli be a guy that Shad could lean on to help figure this thing out and get it corrected in Jacksonville from a lot of different vantage points?
Well, you know how I feel about him, and I'm biased here, but I mean, I will say this. He loves that organization with all his heart, so he would put everything he has into something like that. But again, and listen, only reason I'm hard on Shad Khan wants to win. That's one thing fans get mad about. He's just counting his money. No.
He's given him everything.
He has. He's done everything he's supposed to do, man. He's putting his own money for it. He gives money back to the city. He gave the general manager and the coach every player that they wanted. He's paid out lots of money for the quarterback. So he wants to win. He's just listening to the wrong people.
Yeah, more of that on actionnewsjax.com, by the way. And let's talk more about this loss because it was crazy embarrassing. And later on, we'll talk about how historic it was and some of the other games that kind of echo it. But this might have taken the cake. 52-6 this was easy, Dan. Like, this was so easy. And you brought it up just a couple moments ago on Fox 30 on our sportscast. I mean, the players are not void of blame here.
Yeah.
The players have not played well for Doug Pederson. Is that a little on Doug and the coaching staff? Yeah. But they have not answered the bell. They're not fixing things. They're doing things wrong. And then they didn't get up and play this game, and they got whooped by the Lions.
I mean, listen, I can go down and name the player. I mean, what's happened to ETN? Where's he been all season long? We're 11 games in. Where are the explosive plays that we're going to throw to him? Obviously you don't have Trevor Lawrence. You lost Christian Kirk. Gabe Davis has done nothing. Now he's hurt and lost for the season, so he won't be able to make it up. Evan Ingram missed time as well. But you can't blame injuries. Injuries happen to every NFL team. Heck, the Lions were missing the best their tight end yesterday. Didn't bother them. They were missing Aiden Hutchinson. Didn't seem to bother them at all, right? So you can't blame injuries forever. At some point, the depth has to come and be an issue, and the Jags just simply got blown out. You can't Brent, 7 possessions, 7 touchdowns, and it never seemed like there was even a challenge from that defense yesterday.
There's a running play in that game early in the game first half where Montgomery has nobody around him, and the caravan of offensive linemen are 8 yards down the field, and he doesn't even get touched until that. I mean, go watch a play like that, and you're like, this should not happen in the NFL. Look at the numbers of yesterday's game. This is how bad it was.
Yeah.
Right up there with the Houston game of 2012 in terms of yards. Houston actually might have been 8 more yards. Lions tied for the third most yards in a game since 2000. They had the most yards they've ever had in their 91-year history. They had the most first downs they've ever had in their 91-year history. Most points allowed in franchise history for the Jags. Biggest loss in franchise history. This is year 3 of this regime. This is not an expansion franchise or year 1.
This one really shook me. It's the third biggest discrepancy in yardage. In other words, the Lions' yards and the Jaguars' yards in the history of the league.
Jags had 170. That's it.
Yeah, 170 to 644 or 45. I'm still not sure how many yards. There seems to be some confusion over that, but it don't matter.
I'll give you another one. 645 yards for the Lions in the last 3 games combined for the Jaguars. The last 3 games, they've had 528.
Ugh.
More than 100 yards yesterday by the Lions than the last 3 games combined for the Jags. This is supposed to be an offensive football team.
It's time for the game plan, sponsored by Everbank.
Thank goodness we don't have to watch it this weekend.
Yeah. Doug Pederson said the guys need a break, the fans need a break.
Yeah, I need a break.
I mean, we all need a break from what's been going on with this Jacksonville Jaguar team. And, you know, they had a chance against these 4 NFC teams, and they just were terrible. And, by the way, again, I'll say this. You know, the Packers, the Vikings, they went toe-to-toe with the Lions. There's no way. This is what bothers me the most in terms of the players. And I'll say it again and again. There's no way those guys gave maximum effort. It's not possible to lose like that.
I'm going to defend the players in a small part here. Mm-hmm. They were on the field, the defense, for 42 minutes against the Vikings, 38 minutes in a physical game against the Eagles. I think there's a compilation of that. So I do agree that this is a fatigued football team that just got whooped by a really good team. So I think it was a bad recipe, but it still doesn't excuse it.
No.
And now what do you feel good about, Dan? I mean, how many do they have to win to make you feel good by January about where this football team's going?
Well, honestly, for me, it's about Trevor Lawrence and what happens with that young man. Is Trevor Lawrence going to, you know, because, listen, if change is coming, there's a possibility, and we still don't know this. Doug says he hasn't heard anything about surgery, but if Trevor Lawrence does need surgery, does he get it now so it doesn't mess up the offseason? Is that what's in the best interest of the football team? I don't know the answers to that question, but I need to know some answers about Trevor Lawrence and if he's going to play the rest of the way, because if he isn't, the Jags very well could possess the number 1 overall pick for the 3rd time in 5 years. Incredible.
I'm going to make you spit out your food at dinner. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I think the actual Jags are going to win 4 out of the last 6 games.
Spit take. Where's it? Give me something to drink.
We'll be back on Jags Report live here at Strings Sports Brewery. Hey, play calling came up again today, and I didn't ask the question this time, okay?
You're innocent.
But what does Doug say about the play calling? It's just another storyline here in 2024. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Strings Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need Strings Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Strings Sports Brewery in Springfield.
This is Action Sports Jags Report Live from Strings Sports Brewery, sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Who told Shad that this was the best team ever assembled?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not privy to those conversations that Shad has or who's he talking. I don't know. I can't answer that.
It wasn't you.
No.
Shad Khan that this was the best team ever.
Right.
And that's what he said. And listen, I mean, that's a tough question to answer for Doug without throwing people under the bus, even if he knew.
Right.
We all think. I mean, that was usually would come from the GM, right? I mean, the Trent Baalke most likely said it's the best team ever.
Well, who does Shad Khan talk to football-wise? It's Trent Baalke. Yeah. So obviously everybody thinks it's Trent Baalke. And regardless, at this point, that doesn't matter. What matters is they're 2-9. What matters is they're not even close to being that. What matters is they're a huge disappointment.
Yeah, it feels a lot like 2012 in that regard,
yes,
where the promises are not being delivered. Listen, play calling feels like such a long topic ago, but it still seems to come up, especially when you might make changes or could make changes to your staff.
Right.
I mean, Doug, it doesn't sound like he's going to fire Ryan Nielsen or Press Taylor or make any of those kind of moves. He could have said something about play calling, like, I'm going to take it back. It's probably too late in the game to do that.
Right.
Dan, their play calling, while the players might not be doing well, this one baffled me at the end of the half. They're down 28-3.
Okay.
They run the Wildcat with 13 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah.
And they've got, I think, a timeout there left still. what are they doing on this play? Like, you're down 28-3. What was the intent of that play?
See, if Etienne had flipped it back to Mack and he threw it, then you kind of get an understanding. If Etienne ran towards the line of scrimmage, all of a sudden stopped and did like a little jump pass, maybe you would understand what was going on there. But to actually just run it, it doesn't. Yeah, it is baffling.
But, I mean, so, and listen, it's not just press.
Yeah.
Doug approves these plays, and it goes through his headset. Right. They still can't figure out 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1. 3 years in, they can't get a short yardage first down.
If you go back to early on in the game, they had a 2nd and 2, and Etienne couldn't get it, and it was weird why he couldn't get it. And then Morse went out, and Fortner came in, and it was 3rd and 1, and he got stuffed. And they ran it. It's mind-boggling, some of the play calls. But again, part of that from the coach's perspective is, and I go back to blaming the players, is execution.
Yeah, you got to execute.
Feel free to block somebody. Feel free to get a push. Feel free to show me some effort. Feel free to leap over the pile.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit's running back seem to do that okay.
Yeah, listen, we knew it would be an underbelly story all year. It's been one, and we're not even nitpicking anymore, but that play should not go unnoticed. I don't know what they were doing at the end of that first half. It drove me nuts. Here's Doug when asked about play calling today. That question drives him nuts.
Let's just put it this way, everything's on the table. Let's leave it at that.
The Drive of the Day is sponsored by Ford F-Series. Test drive one at your local Ford dealer today.
Okay, Dan, first ever 4-box of a Drive of the Day.
Wow, I like this.
Yeah, this is for the Detroit Lions. If we were up there in Michigan, they'd really appreciate this.
Yeah.
But down here, we don't.
No.
7 touchdown drives on their first 7 possessions.
And they were easy. There wasn't one that were difficult. It was like 7v7. It was like the defensive line wasn't even there yesterday. And again, I could get into other things like why in the world the second-round pick still isn't playing because he's healthy and they can't get him up, and that's a second-round pick. But, I mean, look at this stuff.
By the way, you better be fined for that, Jameson Williams. That's not very nice.
He will.
Nothing was very nice.
No.
It was just amazing. It was a clinic. It was a clinic of one organization. They were both 8-3 last year, Dan.
Around
this time.
At this time.
In this early December.
Yeah.
And look where these organizations are.
Yeah.
If Shad Khan can't look at that, I mean, that's right in front of all of us. When we come back, Dan?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Sunshine and rainbows.
I'm leaving.
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Is this the official cancellation, the funeral of Sunshine and Rainbows on a beautiful day in Jacksonville?
Please.
Did you see that sunset today?
Show somebody golfing.
Okay, maybe. We'll be back.
Get local sports on demand with Action Sports Jax 24/7. All sports, all local, all the time. From the locker room to the field, the Jags, high school football, the Jacksonville Armada, and don't forget the Brent and Austin Show.
They're all in on Trevor. Of course.
Download the Action News Jax Now app, available wherever you stream or at actionnewsjax.com. TV, phone, laptop, desktop. Action Sports Jax 24/7. Jacksonville sports, all the time.
This is Action Sports Jags Report Live from Strings Sports Brewery. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
All right, Sunshine and Rainbows, we're forced to do it, so we put this up. This is what Dan tweeted out yesterday during the game.
I was angry.
Dan, which one's going to be?
I don't know.
Are you walking off the set? Or are you going to punch me like Mike Tyson punched Jake Paul, you old man?
Let's find out.
I'd rather, honestly, if you're going to punch me, I wish you did before the game yesterday and knocked me out.
What do we got?
Oh, we also have Scorigami.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, we made something good about this game.
Thank you, Scorigami.
I actually said you should have put Billy Napier on Sunshine and Rainbows today.
No Sunshine and Rainbows.
How about those haters?
Well,
I didn't do special teams either.
Thank you, by the way. Thank
Cam
you.
Little didn't even make it.
It was a bad loss, but you know what? In 30 years, there have been a lot of bad losses. In fact, there was another bad loss earlier this season. Let's go to Monday night, prime time. We're 0-2. We're going to bounce back. Here we go, taking on the Buffalo Bills. Final, Buffalo 47, Jacksonville 10.
Yeah, these are like embarrassing losses for the Jags, and there's too many to count. But how about the Patriots win big in 2021, 50-10? The Patriots also won in 2015, 51-17. And this game, I don't think they punted either, much like Detroit hasn't the last 2 times.
All right, well, speaking of 2 times in Detroit in 2022, and this was a great year, but that one particular Sunday, and the Jags bounced back from this one, but it was all Detroit, Rock City, 40-14.
If you marry the 2 games in Detroit, there were 15 consecutive possessions from 22 to 24 where they scored. And then the 49ers last year wasn't fun.
Now
with
that
Doug
sort
Pederson.
of started the fall, really.
Well, they bounced back with Tennessee and Houston wins.
That's correct.
And then, obviously, 5 out of 6 losses with Cincinnati. And then we don't and will never forget Derrick Henry's game.
That's not Trayvon Walker, by the way.
No, this was 30-2 at one time before it ended up being 30-9 back in 2018. And there are a couple other games on the Tennessee list that we could have picked.
Oh, yeah.
So we're used to this. And the point of this is to say, yesterday, I think topped them all.
I think you're right.
I think it topped them all.
I think you're right. And I'm glad you didn't do Sunshine and Rainbows. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad you didn't punch me in the face, I think. When we come back, will Trevor Lawrence play again this season? Well, who knows? We'll talk about it and see if he should. When we come back here from Strings Sports Brewery on Jags Report Live.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jax to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jax in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jax 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jax 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
This is Action Sports Jags Report Live from Strings Sports Brewery, sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
He is going to miss the rest of the season. It is confirmed this morning. Gosh, I hate it for him. He's battled through some injury this season.
Well, listen, the Jags lost Christian Kirk for the season. They've been without Trevor Lawrence last couple of games. They're going to lose Gabe Davis for the rest of the season. But let's not look back on this year and blame injuries, okay? It's bigger problems than this. And Gabe Davis, quite frankly, it's been a miserable year here in Jacksonville for him. He has not lived up to the hype, but we do wish him well in his recovery from a meniscus injury. Welcome back, Jags Report Live. Brent, Martineau, Dan Hicken. And what about Trevor Lawrence? Should he play? If he can play, will he be able to play coming out of the bye week?
For me, I'm a big believer if he's healthy, he should play. If he can go, he should play. He's the face of the franchise, man. They paid him a ton of money. And listen, quite frankly, we got to try to get out there and compete and see if we can find a victory. If he can play, I would play him.
Yeah, I think there's some things to be gained by him playing. Not a lot of people agree. Not everybody agrees with that.
Right.
But as long as he can't injure himself more, even if he has to have surgery in the offseason, it's about a 3-month recovery from everything we can figure out and what it sounds like, and we're not doctors. But I think he needs to have some good moments. He needs to lift this organization once again. They need to find wins. I mean, if we go into 2025 and he's missed now all these games over the last couple of years, that's another negative storyline for Trevor Lawrence.
It's bad enough that year 4 of Trevor Lawrence has been a waste. I mean, and again, if I think back to, his second year, it was going to be, we're going to win the South every year. Here we go. And that just hasn't happened.
No, so we'll see. We don't know. There's no good update yet on Trevor Lawrence, but by next Wednesday, we figure we'll get that. All right, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It's a bye week. Go get your Jags football break.
Yes.
All right. And enjoy the rest of the week.
for you people.
And make sure you visit Strings Sports Brewery. In 2 weeks, we'll be at the new location, Jax Beach, Penman Road,
all right,
every Monday night. So looking forward to bringing it out there.
Thanks for watching Action Sports Jags Report Live from Strings Sports Brewery, sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.